Did you hear that? Amazing.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Well, that's important.
KP.
Really?
CC.
Listen up.
So, Amy, I have something kind of awesome to tell you. I am going to Margaret Cho's house today here in LA.
Well, if I were in LA, I would certainly be joining you. And I have to say, I might be tempted to just fly on over there from New York right now.
Yeah, it's just going to be like me and MC, on the couch, hanging out, just like in our dreams.
I know, with our Mashup goddess. Will you please make sure that when you go to her house that you take off your shoes?
Oh, yeah, I'm obviously I already got a pedicure to be prepared for that. Yeah.
Oh, no. That's really super important. And that, maybe we could bring some snacks over to our house.
Oh, yeah. Like what? Like shrimp chips? What are those?
I would recommend shrimp chips for sure.
Yeah.
And you know how I feel about those shike things that you hate. But
Yeah.
you can pick up a couple of cans.
Okay, awesome.
So, to see if she's into it.
I want to know a little bit about, I know she means so much to me, and I conflate some of my own memories with her stand-up. Some things I don't know are true or part of her stand-up from my life. But I'm wondering, what she means to you. I know that she is you had basically a Tiger Beat poster of her in your house, but I'm wondering what she means to you.
Well, I would say that growing up as a Korean American first generation kid in the white McWhiterson suburbs of North Chicago, I mean, she was everything. She was the single representative of Asian America in the mainstream. She was hilarious. She was beautiful. And she was just balls out. She didn't give it crap about how, or at least she presented that she didn't give a crap, which was just as impressive, about what people in her parents' church might have thought, or what her parents might have thought, or what all the white kids in the cafeteria might have thought. And if she did, she took that sort of concern and that sort of pain that all of us felt as being little Asian kids and, eating smelly food and having parents with accents that maybe didn't really get what being American was, into comedy gold. I don't know. I just think she was so empathetic. And she got it always felt like she was talking directly to me. I could cry.
Yeah, don't cry. But that's no pressure for her to represent all Asian progressive women who are balls out. But
basically.
That's incredible, and I'm so excited to actually get to talk to her about this. Do you have any, advice or any questions that you definitely want me to ask her when I go there?
I would ask her how she got over her fear of, or if she ever had any fear. Maybe she was totally fearless. Her fear of what her parents thought. I mean, my stance on this. I think that being as honest as possible about our life experiences is the most powerful thing that we can do. But there is still shit that I won't talk about because I'm my parents can't read that.
Absolutely.
And I think she's so courageous, and I wonder how she got that way.
Okay, well, wish me luck.
Don't forget to take off your shoes.
I won't. This is the Mashup Americans, a new podcast about culture, identity, and what makes us who we are. I'm Rebecca Lehrer, your Salvadoran Jewish Angelino co-host, and today I'm going to see Margaret Cho. My Mashup partner in crime, Amy Choi, can't come with me, but I took her questions and I sat on a large couch surrounded by 3 cute dogs and a humongous shrine to Joan Rivers, which we're obviously going to talk about later. But first, Margaret had some strong feelings about emojis.
I don't like it when there are cultural terms sort of that are used instead of language.
Yeah.
I really get mad about emojis, and I'm about to start a war. Emojihad. I am really offended when people only send emojis. The English language is such a beautiful language, yet we often use it on automatic pilot, and that's sort of what emojis are.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like automatic pilot, and then also things like bye Felicia, and then, even though the original intent, it's very funny,
Yeah.
and it gets used in a very funny way, but I encourage people to not say things like "just saying,"
Yeah.
just saying.
You're like, just saying what?
But then I also use those terms ironically, so I'm still using the terms, and nobody knows I'm doing it.
No.
I'm so stupid.
So you're playing along. Yeah, but I feel like with emojis, which is really interesting, is this year, did you know that the Oxford English Dictionary just made an emoji the word of the year?
Oh, really?
Yeah, the one that's like laughing and with tears.
With tears, yeah.
But I also feel like that's controversial.
Well, it is controversial because, the English language is so important, and especially American English, because so much of it also has to do with immigration and words that we have brought in from other cultures.
Right.
And so it's very. I think it's important to focus on that rather than sending a picture of a poo.
Yeah. Although you can
eyes.
sometimes, it's still pretty funny.
It is funny, especially if you include the cloud that blew, so that it's a fart and then a poo.
You don't know how many fart poop texts I send to my husband. You know,
It's a really, it is.
In that way, it's very
funny.
communicative. So, do you speak Korean? Speaking of
Yes.
language, okay.
Yes.
How would you say? What would you rate your level of?
안 좋아, which is not good. 안 좋아. 너무 안 좋아. Really not good.
Oh yeah.
I learned it. My generation of Korean Americans were dealing with a lot of deportations. I was born in the 60s, and my father was deported for overstaying his student visa. So our generation often had a real problem with not really wanting their kids not to be perceived as foreigners. So I was spoken to in Korean and yet expected to answer back in English. So I have a full understanding of the language. However, it's very hard for me to speak because that sort of cultural detail stops me.
Yeah.
It stops the words in my mouth.
Totally.
So I did Rosetta Stone, and I watch Korean movies without the subtitles. I can watch a Korean movie, the commentary track with the directors talking about the film and the actor, and understand exactly
What they're talking
about, but I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
So I did Rosetta Stone, which helped a lot. But then part of Rosetta Stone is that you have to also you make appointments and speak with other people who are learning at your level.
Yeah.
And that freaked me out because
Yeah.
I have so much anxiety about speaking because it was drilled into me. You don't have an accent. You're never going to have an accent. You better not have an accent.
Yeah.
And my father actually immigrated and lost his accent. So he speaks English without an accent at all.
Right.
And so I used to
And he just sort of trained himself to do
he
that.
forced himself, and then he made people call him Joe.
Ugh.
And,
And what's his name?
Chosun.
Uh-huh.
So, but Joe, I guess you could be Joe. You could get Joe from that. You could
Yeah.
extract Joe.
But was he Joe Cho?
No, because it was just
Cho being the
Cho
first.
was the operative.
Right.
Cho, but they all call him Joe.
Yeah.
And so he worked on the telephone. He worked for Metropolitan Life, and he was an auditor. So and he would call people, and they would have no idea that he was Korean. And when I was growing up, parents would call my house to see if it was okay if I spent the night at there. So they would consult with my father, and I would get there, and they would go, "I did not know you were half white." I don't see it. I think your dad is white. Are you adopted?
Oh, God.
So they were just under the assumption that he was white, and so
My mom is from El Salvador, and people would be like, "Was that your housekeeper?" And I was like, "I gotta go. We are not coming to your house later."
gosh,
Yeah.
it's these stereotypes,
Yeah.
and it's getting worse with this whole thing with Donald Trump.
I know. But we just talked to a biographer of his about his mashup life. Did you know that his mom was an immigrant from Scotland? His grandparents were German immigrants. He's married. He's been married to 2 immigrants. So it's this weirdly, he is actually totally part of this kind of American idea of immigration and making a great life here, and yet he has this antipathy and this sort of very anti-immigration stance, which
Yeah, it's depressing.
it's really depressing.
But he's harnessing this cultural hatred, which I think is very dangerous.
very dangerous.
People are being beaten. There's 2 Trump supporters who beat a Latino homeless man in the name of Trump. They urinated on him.
Oh my God.
And there was another man, I believe he was from El Salvador. He was at peaceful protest. A lot of people, like Latino Americans, all these different people are going to peaceful protests for Donald Trump. And he was spit on. And the crowd yelled, USA, USA.
Oh, God.
And then I saw another video of another young man, Latino American, being beaten. And a crowd yelling, USA. And that is not USA. That is not...
Yeah, no, it's actually the opposite. I mean, that's what we're talking about. What we believe we are what America is. Like your family's story is. I mean, your guilt about not knowing the language and feeling a little bit embarrassed to speak, but wanting to try. That's what it's all about. The journeys that we've made, not him. It feels so, that fear. And right now around Syria and the refugees, this sort of conversation about being closed off.
Well, yes, it's very scary. And then what's also scary is that people say, well, everything that happened in Paris, that Donald Trump just got elected. Yeah. So my theory is Donald Trump is an ISIS.
Oh, that's a great theory.
I think he really is an ISIS. It's too convenient. Too convenient.
It's a secret.
It's too convenient. Yeah. I think he's
under that wig. It's this whole other persona.
But it's very all of it coming together like that to me is suspect. And I go to the White House often actually for different reasons, and they think their theory is that they think that Donald Trump is from the GOP. The GOP think that it's all a liberal ruse or a Democrat ruse, that they sent Donald Trump for to make
distract.
Him look bad.
Yeah.
And then I think I mean I don't know. I have trouble with SNL just also because they've never had an Asian American cast member. Well, a couple of cast members have been mixed race, but so they've had like 3/4 of an Asian cast member.
Yeah.
And then Lucy Liu hosted 16 years ago once, and Jackie Chan hosted once, but I don't count Jackie Chan in the conversation.
He's not American.
Well, he's not American. He's Chinese. So,
right.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you've never hosted?
No.
Yeah.
I've been on 30 Rock.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Which
I know.
is the
their cousin.
Their cousin. I mean, it is it is that sort of that's supposed to be SNL. So I've been on that end of it, and I'm friends with Tina, and I love her, and so it's not the franchise or the company, but I just wish that an institution like that would really embrace Latino Americans, would really embrace Asian Americans.
Yeah.
I think Lauren Michaels has said, I just look for talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're just not given the opportunities to display the talent.
Right.
Because the talent exists, obviously.
Well, clearly. Well, no, are you sure Asians aren't just not funny?
Maybe we're not.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. Just like women aren't funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
I mean, same.
I mean, come on.
Right? It's not. It's just a facts, right?
Yeah, right. I'm so glad Christopher Hitchens is dead. I laugh so hard about the fact that he's dead. I do a little dance on his grave in my mind every day.
And you said on our friend Angry Asian Man Phil Yu's blog the other day, we love him, and you said this. You said, "I'm angry that I was bullied for having dried squid in my lunchbox, the kimchi fermenting in my childhood home scared and repulsed my white friends, but now white people are all obsessed with Asian food because Anthony Bourdain told them it was good." And then you said, "I must clarify that I love Anthony Bourdain, because who doesn't? It's just that no one liked our food until a white guy told them it was good." So we totally feel you on that.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how it feels to have your kind of culture suddenly be cool. There's Korean pop cultures everywhere in the world and so popular everywhere. How does that feel?
It's great. Because then now I can get more of it easily.
Yeah, that's true. How do you feel about the fancy kimchi at Whole Foods? That's
it's delicious.
You like it?
It's a little bit salty for me. I really prefer, you sort of develop a taste for your own families.
Yes, absolutely.
But I prefer mine because my family has always sort of had a history of high blood pressure. So all of our kimchis had to be a little bit watered down, so we're not as spicy and not as salty. Although I do like the spice.
You can handle spice?
I can handle spice, just not salt. I mean, my mouth says it. The other hole does not agree.
So I want to talk. You talked a bit about Asians and Jews in Psycho, and I've been secretly writing a book with my best friend from college for 15 years called Asian Daters. But you said your language, the way you talked about it was this idea that, Jews will follow Asians anywhere.
Oh, no, Jewish men.
Jewish men, exactly.
Are always in love with Asian women.
Yeah, what do you think that's about?
They're trying to get away from their mothers as far as they can.
That is my theory too.
They just
Great.
the type of because we look different. I'm not sure actually. I feel the culture is very similar.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of similarities between it, but we look different enough, yet we have the same cultural background in that we have the same sort of beliefs and reactions to things and guilt.
Yeah,
and
so much guilt.
And the way that, so it is the familiar and the unfamiliar.
Yeah.
And Asian women are hot.
Well, that's just a fact. But do you think that there's some orientalizing happening?
Oh,
there?
of course.
Yeah.
And but also it's that it has sort of been like this. It's a thing, it's like a John and Yoko.
Yeah.
It's a thing, and then, but they help each other out.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's something that I've seen over and over, and I don't really have any real explanation other than we're as an Asian woman, we're trying to get away from our fathers.
Yeah.
So we get the guy that looks least like our dad as we can, but still has the same kind of cultural beliefs and background.
Yeah.
So
oh my gosh.
we're complicit.
We all are.
I like everybody, I think I don't really have, when you think about preference or whatever, but I have noticed that, the Asian and Caucasian relationship thing is a thing. And
It's
I
definitely
also
a thing.
hate that when people say something's a thing.
Well, okay.
Because just saying.
Well,
Bye, Felicia.
So wait, I want to get back a little bit to, Asians and Jews and the sort of other outsiders and talking about comedy and this idea, I think, as mashups. Why do you think it is that outsiders are make such great comedians, or why?
Because we are constantly having to cope with suffering that is very difficult to deal with, and comedy ultimately is a coping mechanism, and so it's like a muscle that gets very, very strong.
Yeah.
So that's sort of why comedy itself is an outsider art form, and we are the outsiders of the entertainment world.
Yeah.
But then also we become the ultimate insiders because we have the longest careers.
Yeah.
I think we have the most productive careers. We don't have to rely on our looks or our youth for anything. It's sort of like movie stars. We get better as we get older.
Right, totally. Your continued experience kind of helps enrich the work you're doing.
Yeah, except Bill Cosby.
Well,
that's different though.
I can't.
But I mean,
my heart is still broken.
What the problem with him is that he entitled himself to rape because he was so important in the way that in the 60s, shifting the way that entertainment viewed people of color.
Right.
But he thought it was all him. And then, therefore he felt he was entitled to all of these women. And finally, all of their stories are coming out, but it's very shocking.
Yeah.
And it's really upsetting to the legacy of him and the Cosby Show and Fat Albert and the Mod Squad and all these things that we are not able to enjoy anymore because of what he has done, and it's a violation of the art form.
Yeah.
It's a violation of women, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what is good is that I think it's emboldened more women and men also to come forward with their stories of sexual abuse, as I have. I do a lot in my work about that. And I wrote a song called "I Want to Kill My Rapist," and that's out. It's a catchy tune.
Yeah, it's great, and I can
iTunes.
see your hair is still short from shaving it for the video, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just gonna grow the bangs out. See, I'm trying to do this thing where I'm trying to play the Dalai Lama. So I want to cut it really short.
That makes sense.
And then when that American Crime Story comes out, that Ryan Murphy thing about OJ, I want to shave the middle and be Judge Lance Ito.
Oh God, you're really I
So
really like that you're going for this sort of male. You're playing the male Asian famous people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, me
I mean,
too.
I could sort of. I think I'm a pretty good shapeshifter.
Yeah.
So I try to sort of do everything. I played I played a villain in this movie called Tuken, which is a parody of the Taken
Oh,
films.
yeah.
And so I play a villain that's sort of based on Steven Seagal.
He does feel pretty villainous.
Yeah. So I have a gross man braid, like a
Ugh.
French man braid, which is
Yuck.
worse than like the man bun. I mean,
No.
the man bun is
Could be hot. It could be hot.
It could be hot and
Yeah.
practical.
Yeah,
'cause
totally.
they're doing yoga.
Yeah.
But the man braid is so gross.
And also a man French braid.
Yeah.
Disgusting. That is disgusting. I don't even want to think about it.
It's like so horrifying.
Ugh. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Is it out already?
It's out. Yeah,
Okay,
I think
great.
it's on Netflix.
Oh, I'll watch it.
It's really funny.
Yeah. So you know, one of our earliest memories of you, and I mean Amy and mine, but I'll say for me, is you're doing your mom's accent and talking about your dad being a little bit gay. Ugh, it's the best.
Oh, thank you.
And it works so well. And with Amy, we were talking about whether she would do her mom's accent, and she feels like she would be mocking her. And I can do a great version of my mom, and I think it's hilarious.
It's
So
hilarious.
why does it work? Why do you think it works when you do it?
Well, I am mocking her.
Yeah.
Also, this
Yeah.
is the part of like for Asian American kids, we feel like we have to separate ourselves from our family.
Yeah.
So in that separation, the best way is through jokes about our family members.
Yeah.
And that their accents they're real. They really do talk like that.
Yeah.
And it's not a caricature or an exaggeration. My
Right.
mom really talks like that. And so I think that making fun of that is a way that you sort of start to become an American.
Yeah.
Or start to feel like you're American.
And also, but you're not hiding it either. You're acknowledging that that's where you're from. I
No,
think that's what's nice about it.
Yeah.
Except your dad did try to change his
Yeah.
Speaking of shapeshifters, he
Yeah.
kind of ignored his.
He ignored it. He has no act. Sometimes it comes out a little bit. Like lately,
Yeah.
he sort of lost a little bit of because he's like total in Mad Men era.
Yeah.
Like working man.
Is he like, look at here, see, I got a
Yeah.
cigarette.
like,
not literally- yeah.
but that kind of,
Yeah.
sort of manliness, 60s, 70s manliness.
So do you think that that some of your comedy is specific to being first generation? Because it feels like your comedy hits us at our core because we are first generation.
Yeah.
But, what about for second and third generation people? Do you feel like they get this sort of, yeah.
I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I think that, especially for Asian Americans, we never lose the quality of otherness.
Yeah.
That we're still perceived as
Yeah.
foreigners.
Yep.
Which I don't have the same idea as, because I think like for Latino Americans, that they're actually the real Americans.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
No,
like
it's true. Native.
Mexico
Yeah.
was it's America. I mean,
Yeah.
we are Mexico.
Yeah.
And that this, all of these different states that, California and Arizona, Texas, but that's all Mexico.
Right.
So I don't believe Mexicans are immigrants.
Yeah. Well, actually, when you do your genetic testing, Latin Americans have a significant, and Latino Americans have a significant amount of Native American. That's a huge chunk of, right. So that's a huge chunk of what their genetic makeup is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I look at Latino Americans, all sort of that spectrum of when we think about race and identity. I think of them as true Americans.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think though that we all are true Americans, but of course there's a sort of genetic and rootedness that they have here. But I do think that there is, I think that for Asian Americans, you're right. There's a continued outsiderness.
Yes.
Right.
But
Do you think that will change with time?
I hope so.
Yeah.
It seems to be shifting
Yeah.
a bit.
I think so.
And then we see like things like Fresh Off the Boat,
Yeah.
which is a great TV show, and
Master of None.
Master of None, it's
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
and of course Dr. Ken.
I loved
one
you
of my
on it.
best
Yeah.
friends.
He is so.
He's so, but I love his physicality, like
yeah.
his whole like thing about he really is like Charlie Chaplin or like Buster Keaton. He's
Yeah.
like a really like physically expressive
Yeah.
performer, and So, I mean, when you're on the set with him, he's such a dancer. He's like a really good dancer.
Really?
It's crazy how good he is.
I think also having both of you as figures, like Korean American figures in our society who are totally American, right? You're both born in the States, really American accents, your experience is American, and that is something that as younger, Asian Americans see that, it feels very reflective. Like it's not, we joke a lot about that. I'd never, until I met my husband's grandparents, I'd never met grandparents with American accents. Like I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah.
But that will change with your generation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which is really,
it's cool.
yeah, it's really cool.
It's really exciting. And I think now this generation of Asian Americans are growing up with seeing a variety of our lives being portrayed on the screen. And
Right.
that's tremendous,
Yeah.
and I feel like I definitely had a big part in that. And I'm so joyous for that I did something kind of good with my life.
Well, you absolutely did. I mean, Amy, as I said, my partner in Mashup, is such like beyond fan. She started crying when I said we were going to come here.
Oh, that's so
So
nice.
she wanted to know this. This is her question for you: is how did you overcome fear, and how do you overcome fear? Because she's always looked up to you as someone who's totally fearless.
Oh, that's
An
nice.
Asian American creative woman who does and says exactly what she believes and does it with love and humor. Was there something specific to get you to that place of risk taking and fearlessness?
Oh, well, I have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever thought I was going to amount to anything. I mean, I was not a good student, and so I had no value. And I was also a girl, so I had no value in my family at all. And so I had nothing to lose. And then I started performing because I was like bullied and sexually abused and all this stuff, And then I realized when I was on the stage, I was safe because I had witnesses.
Yeah.
And so that's the safest place you can be.
And you did it from a very young age, right?
14.
Yeah. But what's so interesting about all of this, I feel like, is the meeting of your parents' conservatism and liberalism, right? Because you were growing up in a gay community in San Francisco. Your dad had a gay bookstore, right?
Yeah, in the 70s, they bought Paperback Traffic, which was a place where Armistead Maupin, who wrote Tales of the City, would do book signings.
Yeah.
And Ed Hardy would come in and he would sell Tattoo Time.
Yeah. So you have this sort of larger family that was the gay bookstore family, and then you have your immediate family, your Korean family. And what's your relationship with your parents now? It sounds like it is.
Yeah, it's my mother's birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday.
She happy birthday. She loves my fiance.
Really?
Who's just
I didn't know you guys were engaged. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. So she's so in love with him, but that's her way of loving me.
Oh.
Is that she can't. There's so much guardedness and so
Yeah.
much weird stuff when it comes to emotions when you're talking about Korean family, and so she just talks about him and loves him so much, and so grateful that I have a partner, and so that's sort of the way that she expresses her joy for me, and in my success.
And how long did it take you to recognize that was her way of loving you and not just kind of
Yesterday.
Yesterday was the first day.
Yesterday.
That's a huge day.
Because I was like kind of mad because it's her birthday and she just wanted to talk about him. I was mad. But no, I've known that. But it's just I just really kind of put it into words yesterday. That's sort of what it meant.
Yeah, that makes sense. I watch a lot of my Korean friends struggle with that relationship with their parents and the ability to give love or how they show it.
It's hard.
And their guardedness.
There's a lot of domestic abuse too in Korean families that's never acknowledged. That's there's so much shame and silence around the problems in our culture, which is why I'm so actively trying to fight it with my work.
Yeah. I'd be remiss to not talk about the huge, I don't even know, is a painting collage of Joan Rivers
it's a
in your house.
I guess
sculpture?
it's a sculpture. It's by my good friend Jason Messier.
Yeah.
That is the garbage of female comedians from Phyllis Diller to Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
And he collects the garbage of lots of stars and makes portraits. This was one that was done just after her death. and I had to have it. I had to have it.
It's phenomenal. It's this beautiful, and our brassy Jewish comedian mother. We love her so much, and I know that you loved her so much. But I'll describe sort of her dress is made of like, or probably a beautiful, fabulous coat is made of like Prilosec and Monistat trash.
All the Lanacane is Phyllis Diller's.
Oh, love that Lanacane.
And then there's Sarah Silverman's Gefilte fish.
Oh, naturally.
And I have some rolling papers in there.
Oh, good.
And then I think it's Kathy Griffin's. I think it's some. I don't remember which one is Kathy Griffin's. A lot of plastic surgery dressings.
Oh, of course.
That's from I think Joan and everyone.
I think that's appropriate. If you'll allow us, we'll take a photo so that we can put it up and show people because it's so beautiful and fantastic.
I have one of myself that Jason did, so we are looking at each other.
Oh yeah, we'll get both of them. Oh, that one's really.
This is all my garbage, but I put her a little higher.
Yeah.
I think so. She's looking down on me, sort of protecting me a little.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's some good feng shui. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. If you're getting ready for Thanksgiving, we have some amazing mashup recipes to help you out, like sriracha cornbread sticky rice stuffing and a glaze for your turkey that's Puerto Rican. Part guava, part adobado. It's all at mashupamericans.com. Next time on the show, Amy will bring you 8 tips for being the best non-Jew at a Hanukkah party. Here's a hint. Don't blow out the candles. Since I'm Jewish, I'll be Hanukkah party hopping, but hopefully all you guys will be too. The Mashup Americans are me, Rebecca Lehrer, and my girl, Amy Choi. Our show is part of the Infinite Guests network of awesome podcasts, like the Dinner Party Download and Secret Skin with Open Mike Eagle. It's produced with Southern California Public Radio, KPCC. Our show is also supported in part by an award from the National Endowment for the Arts, on the web at arts.gov. Our thanks to Steve Profit and Doug Geary for helping engineer the show. If you like us, please subscribe and tell a friend. Gracias. Bye.